Okay, FS, are you there?
I am here, TS. You're right.
Okay, yes. Right, my rudimentary efforts of fading out the intro track, somewhat effective. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. I think it's an improvement on the first time when you just sort of like press stop or whatever, and it just like cut out, but like unceremoniously cut out. So it's a lot better to fade it. A lot better, yeah.
So it's baby steps with this stuff. It really is. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I've not really listened back to what it sounds like. I sort of don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think it put me off, but I'm just plowing on and just getting a little bit better. I'd like to think I'm getting a little bit better at it, but.
I mean, I did listen back. I've listened back to both of them. I haven't listened back to the whole of the second one. I haven't listened back to the whole of both of them, actually, to be fair. But most of both of them. They sound all right. And obviously, like with the first one, there was the mic issues, wasn't there? So that was a little bit like, troublesome at the start. But otherwise, the actual chat, the content, what we talk about, it sounds interesting.
Yeah, I got the mic. It wasn't the mic, so I actually dissed the mic at the time, but it was the shitty laptop. I mean, I'm actually all right. My laptop is still here. I won't diss the laptop. It's my Traveller. It's a tiny little portable laptop, but I got it reconditioned, and it's just a nice little Traveller. I've got my proper good gaming laptop here, which is doing a sweet job of handling this shambolic broadcast. But so yeah, I think we're getting there. So the sound quality is a lot better, and. Yeah, I'm sort of messing about, and we've got some nice graphics and going on, and
yeah, they're going to get better as well. So yeah, but for now, yeah, it's nice. There's not many. To be honest with you, I haven't seen many podcasts. In fact, I haven't seen any podcasts that have a kind of moving background. It's always like either you see the people, or you have like just a static background and they talk over it, like, sort of thing. So it's quite unique to have a moving background or something.
Yeah. Most of the things, I mean, most of them have either got a lot of them have got like live video and stuff, or they just have, some people choose to show their face, or they just have an icon. But yeah, I'm sort of, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, see how it goes. So, how are you enjoying this? I've got the sun blazing through my window right here.
Yeah, I haven't, because I've had to shut the curtain. Well, I've got the curtain sort of like 80% shut, because if I have it open, the glare of the sun at this time of day just means I can't barely see the screen. So yeah, it just has to be like this. But I did get out earlier, obviously. I wasn't going to go gym earlier. I was just like, I'll have a rest day today. So I went twice yesterday, believe it or not. I literally live next to it, so I can kind of just dip in and dip out. I got up, I opened the window, saw what a nice day it was. I was like, there's no way I'm going to just stay indoors. I need to get out at least for a little bit. So, yeah.
I do
were saying about the geoengineering. You got a theory about the geoengineering of today?
Oh no! Listen, I mean, I went for a run like you. I went to the local market. I went for a run yesterday. Did a run this morning because I've got a nice little route by the river. But I was just overhearing people what this, and they're calling, everyone's saying, "Oh, it's spring's here," and I mean, I'm optimistic, but they're sort of this. There's the old sort of the old boomers, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but the older generation, shall we say, and they're sort of quite sagaciously, sort of shaking their head and saying, "Oh, it's a fool's spring, it's a fool's spring." And then there's sort of the papers are warning, as soon as we start to have a good time and enjoy the weather, the papers start saying, "Oh, freezing temperatures coming. And while we're in the middle of this bloody lovely sun, it's like, if there's any geoengineering, it's the media. It's like they're implanting the suggestion in people.
Yeah, they're engineering your minds. Yeah. So, but the thing is, to be fair, it is gonna, like, those boomers may well be right, because apart from after Monday, it dips back down to like 7 degrees again. So sorry to spoil the party.
Yeah, but you say that, FS. But who says? The media says.
At the moment, my iPhone tells me this. That's all.
Your iPhone, yeah. Well, that's just a branch of the one of the tentacled octopus limbs of the Illuminati, right?
The good thing is, overall, that we know either way, whether it dips back down or not. Either way, we know we're fucking out of winter now, pretty much. So,
yeah, I mean, 7 degrees isn't bad, is it? Yeah, I could go with 7 degrees.
I'm just.
But even when it was cold. It was when it was icy and stuff. It was still sunny, but yeah, I mean, listen, there clearly is a geoengineering.
Don't you think that England gets a bit of a bad rep weather-wise? So, like, because there's always this archetype of, oh yeah, it's like, oh, it's rainy London, everyone going around with the umbrellas and all this kind of stuff. It does. I don't know what the stats are. Maybe I should look it up later. But it doesn't actually rain. For me, it doesn't really rain that much. Certainly not in London, anyway.
Well, it's one of those things. I know someone who lives in Iceland. I know people who live in Eastern Europe, in near Russia and such, and they always say that England is colder than Iceland. I mean, person I know who lives in Iceland, he doesn't want to come back to England, even for Christmas to meet the family, because he just says, oh, it's too cold. I'm like, what? You live in Iceland? But they always say it's that damp cold. It's that damp cold. We've got that humid dampness that apparently is much worse than that fresh, sort of dry cold that they get in the continental climate. Even the Arctic, right? I mean, Iceland's sort of on the edge of the Arctic Circle, and apparently it's worse in the winter here than there. I mean, what do you think of that?
Worse in the winter here than in Iceland.
Yeah, it's colder. That's what I'm talking about. That's what people say. They say it's more uncomfortable here in the winter than in Iceland in terms of the temperature.
I don't know. That's just a hard one to answer. I don't
a lot. Living in so-called cold countries, but it's like the heat, though. It's like I lived in Egypt, and it's dry heat, and it wasn't too bad. But then I went to like the Gulf, and it's bloody horrible. That humid heat is the worst one. I don't know. It's once it gets humid and that, it just becomes like more uncomfortable. And the temperature has a more profound effect, whether it be winter or summer.
I mean, the lowest temp. I mean, it depends where you are in Iceland, I suppose, because it gets down to like minus 24 there. So we're certainly not seeing minus 24 in London. So I don't know. I guess it's relative, isn't it?
Yeah, but like, do you remember like in the beginning of January or so, when it was really it was cold, right? It was ostensibly cold. It was like -3 or -2.
Yeah.
For us, that's cold, but it was really sunny, and it was actually beautiful, and it wasn't cold. It was crisp. But then, like a few weeks later, it was like 8-9 degrees, but it was grey and wet and damp and horrid, and wind was blowing, and it was far more uncomfortable than that kind of crisp.
Strange, isn't it? Because like the lowest temperature in, say, Reykjavik last year was about -15. So I mean, obviously that's like 10, 11, maybe 12 degrees below the lowest we've had last year. I remember last January was really bad because my boiler packed in at the time of, I think, the pipes freeze, don't they, when the temperature gets to a certain extent. So there was a period in January of about maybe 2 weeks or so where it was about -4, -5 when it got to the night time, and the boiler had packed in. I had no heating, and I could literally, I'd be sat here in about 8 layers, and I could see my breath as I'm talking. It's crazy. It was a crazy time. The caveat, the silver lining, the most definable silver lining I could get from it is that my sleep was near perfect. As soon as I got into bed, I was out like a light, and I didn't wake up, which is very unusual for me. I got my best sleep when my room was about -5 degrees. So
that's polar bear sleep, isn't it? That's hibernation. That's your body's shutting itself down, preserving its calorific heat.
And I think like you just get into, because you're so cold. Once you get into bed under the covers, it's just so cozy and comfy. It's just so comforting that you fall asleep. Like serotonin's released, and you fall asleep really easily.
So yeah, I mean, on a serious note about the geoengineering, and I lived in the Gulf where they openly admitted that they were doing aerosol spraying in order to make it rain, and they did this many times, and they sort of overdid it quite often. So it would actually, the rain would be so severe, it would literally wash roads and bridges away, and destroy half the infrastructure, and even people killed. So they never quite got the balance right. Of course, they're still doing it.
Yeah, so it's in UAE, don't they? I've seen it in UAE.
Hey?
I've seen it in UAE. They do it in UAE.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it kind of made the news. Was it last year in Dubai?
Dubai,
I think, I can't remember exactly, but there was a huge...
I would say, sorry, James, there is a little bit background noise, like of you maybe moving around and stuff. I don't know if like you're moving around as you talk or whatever. It's just a tiny bit. It's not constant, but every now and then there's a kind of good kind of noise.
Yeah.
It's not nothing. It's not a disaster or anything. It's just I sort of thought I'd mention it, sort of thing.
So yeah, so there was a storm in Dubai. Do you remember that? I'm literally moving around to to find out about this storm, and our media were denying it had anything to do with. I mean, bullshit. Our media were denying it had anything to do with geoengineering, but the Emirati government were quite frank and admitted that they.
I was going to say they admitted it. That's what I was going to say.
Our media calls it climate change. You know what I mean? So friggin' duplicitous. Our media is saying, "Oh, climate change," but the Emiratis are quite frank that they're paying. I think the Russians they paid the Russians to do it. They're paying all sorts of people to do cloud seeding.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that. It was quite funny because they were very transparent.
In some way,
transparent about it, weren't they?
Yeah. So if I mean, you never know though. From day to day, the memory hole of the internet is such as it is. You never know what you're going to find. You know, it's like half the time you imagined internet articles, right? So did I dream about that? Because there's no trace of something that you read 6 months ago. Did I dream that? Was that real? Did I miss it? But I did have on my blog. I mean, my forum. I did keep a record of all this. Dubai sort of weather modification program, and type in the National, which is the newspaper of record in the UAE, and I don't know if anything will come up this time. Yeah, UAE to host major event on weather and cloud seeding. The National News. You see, they don't hide it at all. United Arab Emirates uses cloud seeding to increase rainfall and address water shortages. And this is the AI. So the AI just obviously is, sort of trolls data, all the information from the internet, it trolls it and sort of splats it all out in a little condensed nugget of.
What's that you're using? Which AI are you using?
So no, it's just the Google one. You know, the automatic nowadays. Yeah, nowadays, you actually don't even request it; it just gives you the AI opinion. Now, it's pretty bad, really, isn't it? Because remember, you should search something on the internet, and it used to be the most popular website. And I remember back in the day, it used to be because when the internet was in its relative infancy in 2006. I mean, the internet had been going for 10 years since then, but it was still in its infancy somewhat. I mean, I remember using the internet in, what was it? Not when I went to university. But it seemed like a novelty. It was like, oh, what's the point of this? Like, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't do any of the stuff you could do now. I mean, even it's also sort of dial-up modem and all that, 56k. But yeah, used to be that you'd type something into Google and you'd literally get the most, popular result, and then it became that then it was the media sponsored result, and now it's AI comes up first. Do you get that on your Google AI overview?
Yeah. It's kind of like, I'm not sure do they just literally call it Google AI? I know Google has an AI. It's not this. Yeah, I do. Yeah, because before the results now, there's kind of a bit above, isn't there? Where it's kind of like almost like its opinion in some sense comes up.
Yeah. Well, the worst one at the time was when it was just the Guardian and the Observer. Yeah, and it was just they sponsored everything. I thought it was frigging terrible. The frigging Guardian. The Guardian is one of the least popular papers in our country. It has the lowest circulation. It's only because it's got an army of sort of steadfast and deranged liberals supporting it, and it's got that trust, hasn't it? What's the trust that supports the Guardian? The Guardian newspaper doesn't. I mean, it doesn't have to make money, does it? Because it has this trust that funds it, and every so often they sell off assets to keep the Guardian going. Do you know about that? How the Guardian works?
I don't know. All I know is the Guardian. I don't think I've ever even read it.
I mean, it used to be all right. I mean, back in the day, in the 90s, it was like, the thing is, the left was almost the voice of opposition, and they were anti-war, weren't they? Of course, but now, of course, they've busted that flush, haven't they?
Yeah, well, what was left wing in the 90s is a lot different to what's left wing now.
Yeah, it's the Overton Window thing, isn't it? Do you know about that? The Overton Window.
Yeah.
The Scott Trust, the Scott Trust, and that's just this thing. It's just like this massive. I don't know how much money they got, but it's just they got like tens of millions, possibly more, for selling off various acquisitions that they've had, and they're just keeping this ailing guardian monstrosity going. This disgusting, filthy liberal mouthpiece of perversion and inversion of reality. It's disgusting what the Guardian is now. I don't think anyone serious writes for the Guardian anymore, though.
Well, the Overton window itself obviously has been sort of slowly closing over like the past a couple of decades or so. But I do think that we're coming back round. These things are kind of very cyclical.
Closing. We draw the curtains on the Overton window, right?
I think that the curtains are drawing back open. I think it's drawing back open a bit again. I mean, I think I did say a few years ago when there was when Trump first came in around that time, there was all the furore about it and stuff and all this kind of thing that, that we were going to turn a corner and the sort of thing, the sort of mad kind of like deranged liberal type stuff that you're sort of referring to would sort of, it didn't have the legs. I never thought that it really had the legs because it just wasn't very high IQ. So I just felt, hoping that, Darwinianism in terms of the IQ, eventually the ones that aren't the highest IQ are going to kind of fall down. But obviously, that's not necessarily always so logically played out because the ones with the lower and mid-level IQ can sometimes be more powerful. Sorry?
The midwits
can almost be more powerful in some ways. So
you heard that expression, midwit, though?
Say again?
There's an expression called midwit, and it's a bit from the sort of so-called dissident right. A midwit is someone who is professionally one of the media sort of mouthpieces, who is, can converse, has facts, but has no insight and will not contend against authority. So Stephen Fry, people like that, they have their agenda. And they do a very good job at, massaging, manipulating the evidence to perpetuate their worldview. The midwit. And most people don't recognize that these people aren't truly intelligent. They think they're intelligent because, they have the right public school accent, or they have the right. They remember when they were funny on the telly. Oh, Stephen Fry's the funny man. Oh, he's the best. So they grew up with these people. So they become like voices of authority.
Yeah, he's the host of QI and all this. So, he's got to be, one of the leading intelligence.
Who?
Intelligent. Yeah, I'm just saying, what they think of Stephen Fry, taking on to what you're saying. He hosts QI, he's one of them. That must mean that he's so intelligent,
So intelligent. Oh, he's so intelligent. He's so intelligent.
Yeah, there's somebody like I won't go into too much detail, for obvious reasons, but where I work, there's somebody who everyone says is like really intelligent, and I just find it laughable. And this person is.
It's sad. It's so sad, isn't it? Yeah, it's so ridiculous.
Basically, what the person does is they regurgitate. I mean, this is like, it sounds really crazy. It just goes to show some of the people that I work with, I suppose. But what this person does essentially is regurgitate what they see in the Sun newspaper, and this apparently makes them intelligent. To other people that I work with, which fathom that.
Yeah, Stephen Fry. I mean, he's a dubious character. In any case, he's a peculiar character.
Yeah,
he put on a play at Cambridge about the love between a teacher and a student. Was it a 13-year-old prep student called Latin and Tobacco or Latin and Boys? Really weird. Stephen Fry.
It was called what? Tobacco and Latin and Boys.
Oh yeah. It's based off of a G.K. Chesterton quote. I think I might be right about that. Latin or Tobacco and Boys, and it's a quote based on, is it G.K. Chesterton, who said anyone who doesn't love tobacco and boys is a fool.
Okay, so it's Latin. So basically, it was called Latin ! Or Tobacco and Boys.
You can look it up, Latin or Tobacco and Boys. Yeah.
I just
want to check I don't want to disparage.
No, that's exactly. I've got it right here. Yeah.
G.K. Chesterton quote.
He wrote it in 1979 at Cambridge Uni.
Yeah. Okay, I want to know. Okay,
it's about a young Latin teacher and his relationship with a 13-year-old student.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. Apparently, it's sadomasochistic and all this. And it recently had a relaunch. I think it was in Edinburgh like a year or so ago. No, I'm sorry, it's not G.K. Chesterton. So I'm glad I cleared that up. I had to check it. It's Christopher Marlowe, apparently, not G.K. Chesterton. I don't know where I got that from.
There. Yeah.
Chesterton is an impeachable moral human being and throughout his life. So apologies for that. Christopher Marlowe, that rather dubious Elizabethan era spy who was a contemporary of Shakespeare. So that's Christopher Marlowe. Yeah, that's what he said. Whoever doesn't love tobacco and boys are fools. And he was in sort of the secret services, so God knows what he got up to. But yeah, Stephen Fry. Yeah, he's a character. He's I don't want to say anything libelous, but yeah, he's a rumman, should we say, allegedly. But no, I mean, his record speaks
how these people are kind of
like about paedophilia. I mean, what's all that about? You know?
Sorry, say again.
Yeah, he produced a play about paedophilia. He wrote a play about, you know, well, no, we shouldn't say that word, of course, but
the thing is, though, we're talking about
he wrote a play about schoolboys and having inappropriate relationships with their teachers. Yes,
which, whilst obviously is categorically bad, obviously, but back in those days, it was more of an accepted thing. It wasn't such a what's the word I'm looking for here? You know, verboten thing, was it? Like, did you think?
I think it'll be well, it really depends on the circles you move in. I mean, in those, I think any working class area or just anyone with common sense, it wouldn't accept that. It's the liberals. It's always been the liberals, who remember the Labour the pie, the P. We shouldn't really say that word. I mean, we need a euphemism for the peas.
I'm trying to think, but there was we should use the new terminology that the Democrats.
We need a glossary of words that won't.
Have you heard the new terminology that the Democrats use for the Ps now? That minor.
The Ps, what do they say for the Ps? Yeah,
minor attracted people.
Oh, of course, yeah. I know. It almost sounds there'll be an endangered groups. There'll be sort of there'll be legislation to protect them from hate.
Oh yeah, because they're arguing. I mean, with perhaps some sort of validity that it's like a mental illness, but therefore should be protected. I don't believe in that. That's the second bit, but I mean, it obviously is some kind of mental disorder. But it's one of those things that you can't really understand. Like I've always said this about that, and also things like bestiality and weird shit like that. Like you can't, like your brain can't compute it. So, for example, murder. We've all been angry. We've all wanted to sort of like give someone a slap, blah, blah, blah. So you can kind of understand how someone could take that up a notch if there was enough, if they felt enough disrespect, or if they felt that they'd been too hard done to by someone. You could understand if there were certain circumstances could lead you to murder someone. I'm not saying I would do that, by the way, but you can kind of get your head around it. Whereas with these things, I just
hopefully one day this podcast won't be using evidence against you, but carry on.
No, I'm very pacifistic. I'm not really like I can't get that worked up about another human to do that. So
sure, good to hear it.
Just for sort of like a legal clarification.
So I mean that's it. These people, I mean the thing is with Stephen Fry, famously he's a very atheistic, right?
Yeah.
So
we had that famous thing about the earworm, wasn't it? You said.
I don't know. What was that?
Oh, sorry. What were you going to say? I'll look it up. I'll get you.
Oh, you knew that. Well, I was going to say that. I mean, I don't want to generalize because I mean, people have got lots of reasons to be atheists, but he seems a typical example of the kind of guy who wants to live in his own moral universe and do what the fuck he wants. And the idea that I mean, if you believe in right and wrong, people like him obviously don't. And people like him will call out God for things like how can there be a God when children have cancer and stuff like that?
Yeah.
So meanwhile, if you're so uptight about morality, why did you write a play about
about
your boy?
Yeah, I found it here. He's saying like what kind of so it mentions what you just mentioned. Then he goes on to say, yes, the world is very splendid, but it also has in it insects whose whole life cycle is to burrow into the eyes of children.
Yeah.
So it is simply not acceptable.
He's better than God, don't you know? See, he's smarter than God. You see, he's even better than God. So he's giving himself.
Not understand what's going on in the rest of the universe.
Pizza dough pass.
The universe isn't made.
Swagger about better than God.
But the universe isn't made to like mollycoddle you. I mean, look what's going on in like the vast majority of the universe. There isn't life because it's too harsh. I mean, how can you be surprised that there's insects that burrow into people's eyes?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's just a weird way of. I don't know. I don't know if he was trying to be kind of like have some sort of valiant moment or whatever, like in the public eye. I don't know.
Self-righteous. He's like a classic self-righteous guy. He'll do what he wants, and if there's any suggestion that God would try and impinge his lifestyle, he'll denounce God, and he considers himself the center of his moral universe, and that means he can mess about with. Well, allegedly, we don't know who he messes, but we don't even know if he messes about with anyone. But he wrote a play about someone messing about with a, so we'll leave it at that. But he's been on record saying lots of strange things. He was under fire apparently for a limerick he recited on QI, which goes like this: there was a young chaplain from King's who talked about God and such things, but his real desire was a boy in the choir with a bottom like jelly on springs. Ho ho ho! And everyone chuckle chuckle chuckle. Lovely funny pizza dough time. I wonder what fun it is for young chaplains.
I remember there being speculation that he was like a cokehead and stuff at some point.
Cokehead, yeah. So no. But he's done it a few times. He's always been under fire for inappropriately sort of spilling the beans and sort of this sort of a casual attitude to.
He actually spent 3 months in Puckle Church prison.
So say what?
He spent 3 months in a place called Puckle Church prison because he stole a family friend's credit card and used it to fund a sort of extravagant spree, staying in like upscale hotels and things like this.
Well, that was when he was young, was it not? I believe.
Yeah.
He was in a romance or a youth romance, and he's a strange character. And he's apparently useless at A levels, but he got let into Cambridge all the time. All the same, he's one of the Middle Eastern gent tribe. In fact, I mean, maybe that's relevant. I don't know, but he's a very peculiar guy. He's almost like one of these people who's been given a red carpet to celebrity and to sort of media godhead status.
It is strange how there is certain people who they're kind of like bulletproof in this respect. I mean, one thing that springs to mind is like, and this is a kind of different example, but it's sort of along the same lines to what we've been talking about. If you remember, I'm sure you remember recently-ish anyway, Hugh Edwards and his convictions and stuff for what he was doing. Nobody really, no massive outcry really. Yet there's other people who get absolutely vilified when they've even got no criminal convictions whatsoever, just because they say things that people don't like, or they say things in a way that people don't like, and they're very popular and they get through to people. So they will get more vilified, and they will get more scorn poured on them on social media and whatnot than someone like Hugh Edwards, who's a convicted king. You know what he was convicted for. So it's kind of crazy to me, and he's just allowed to disappear. And I think they paid him off some kind of like package as well. So not only did he, get convicted, but he didn't just get sacked. He got sacked with like some 6-figure payout as well. It's just mad.
Did he not get sentenced to anything then?
I can't remember. I'll have to look that one up.
I mean, clearly he's one of the funny handshake brigade. That would be my analysis of it. One of the boys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
suspended sentence.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think he was. Yeah, so he's received a 6-month prison sentence.
Isn't it? And yet you can say a hurty word, and there you go. You're in prison for what, 2 years, and so that's happened.
You got the police at your front door, or you can say, I've seen a few videos on X and Facebook and whatnot. Not that I don't really go on Facebook much these days, but like I've seen a few videos of police going around to people's houses for Facebook posts and stuff like this.
They always do it at like 4 a.m, don't they? It's like the sort of like the Soviets, like the Soviets would have done back in the day. The secret police, that time when you're most vulnerable 4 a.m, like or almost like the witching hour, almost when the demons are most abroad. That's when the police will strike.
And they're literally like battering people's doors down for this. It's absolutely crazy.
I know. So anyway, let's get away from the old weather modification. I think the reason it's sunny now is just because they've just stopped the weather modification for a bit. And you notice when they stop it, we actually get nice weather again.
So when do you think they actually do it, sort of thing?
Well, you can see them doing it because you can actually see the planes at high altitude pumping that stuff out all day long most of the time.
So like, I guess, like, what parts of the year is it? Sort of all year round, or
they do it all the time? They're always doing it. They're always doing it. You know,
I'm not so well up.
It's quite rare, yeah, but it's rare to have blue skies. I mean, I don't know. We used to sort of talk about it on the forum and all that way back in the day, but you'd literally see the sky. People just don't. You gotta look. You look up and you see what they do is this sort of some kind of high altitude. According to the UAE, right? According to the UAE National. Let me read the things here. It says aircraft drop small particles like silver iodide into clouds. Water vapor condenses around the particles, forming rain. That's the, I heard it was aluminium, but silver iodide. And we've had this since the 60s. Because, you remember Woodstock? It became a national disaster era. And the hippies were saying, they're seeding the clouds, man. They're seeding the clouds. And it was known by in the 60s, this technology of cloud seeding. So it goes way back. But I used to take pictures. I used to live quite high up on a little 20 floor sort of tower block, and I'd take pictures, and I've got them somewhere. But it's like they'd make a chessboard. They'd like a noughts and crosses, more like a noughts and crosses game in the sky. Zigzag, 3 lines, 4 lines horizontally, then lines vertically, and it was like have you not spotted that before? Have you not seen that?
I've seen them before, yeah, but it's not something I've really. Of all the things that in this kind of sphere that we talk about, like the weather, geoengineering, it's not what, like, you can go to like UFOs, aliens, or the conspiracies. The weather one is not one I've ever really kind of gone too deep into. Sure.
It just pisses me off because I like the sun, and I just get so angry. But they specifically try and block the sun. You can see them. I mean, just next time. Oh yeah, they're fucking doing it now. Literally right now. Gosh, I could literally take a picture from my window, and they're crisp. If you look at, you got access to a window.
I mean, I've got it covered. Actually, you know what? I can actually like pull my curtain back now because
you can see.
It's not so bad. Hang on.
Unbelievable bastards.
I can see. Okay.
These thick lines. They're not just. They're not passenger aircraft. They're some kind of. See it? And then you see the sun gets all kind of hazy.
It's got a very weird top to it. I can't actually describe it.
And then it starts to get hazy, and then you just don't see the sun anymore, and that's how it'll be for weeks and weeks, right?
It's funny you just say that because right next to the line, that's the thick line you're describing, is a plane with a completely different trail. So you can see the contrast.
You can see and you see how the trails thicken out.
Yeah.
And you see 2 trails have been left, and you can see they're long, thick clouds now. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That isn't what airplanes, in a normal passenger do. So this is. I mean, we know this is what I mean. This is my weather modification. We've got the UAE national article which says it's. Although when in April 2024, when there was massive flooding in Dubai, the UAE government denied. So they denied because they'd caused, they'd actually caused the damage indirectly. So they did a sort of plausible deniability, but the press. The UAE paper record is freely reporting it, but yeah, look at what they're doing to the weather now. They're absolutely stinking the sky up now with this. So weather modification, quite an appropriate topic since it's always going on anyway. But yeah,
I'm going to have to do a little deep dive into that because I really don't know too much, so I can't sort of speak too much about it. But it's just funny that you mention it. When I look out now, I can see the example of the thick trail you're talking about with a plane flying right next to it with its own trail, as if it's highlighting the difference to me. Do you know what I mean? So, like you say, around the sun is close to it, and it's very hazy around the sun.
Hazy, mate. That's exactly what they're doing. They're making it hazy, and then it's thicker and thicker, and then the sun will just sort of get blocked out. And you can imagine, gosh knows what's in there. I mean, silver iodide. I mean, if that's what they use, but if they're using aluminium, as I heard that they used, that's really toxic. So maybe that's what's killing off the bees and all this stuff. Who knows, right?
Yeah, I mean, God, I'm just kind of annoyed that my first weekend of not drinking, and it's just like the most beautiful weekend. But I guess I knew it was coming. Logically, it was always going to get better weather. So it's kind of like I could never do it over summer. I think it's quite a good little like run from like March, April, May to June. Like my birthday's quite a good point, like June the 1st. It's quite a good like point in the year if you want to sort of do things around it or center things around it. Like last year, I went from February the 4th to May the 31st sober. So that was something. That was 16 weeks and 6 days, something like that.
That's remarkable. That is impressive. Yeah, that's really impressive. Yeah.
The thing is, the way to do it is I told everyone I was going to do it, so everyone knew I was doing it. And I had this thing at work where I had week 1, week 2, week 3, and I was crossing them off each time, so everyone knew I was doing it. So I was like beholden to it because I'd talked so much about it. So I would have been too ashamed. I would have been too ashamed to break it. But to be honest with you, I got into a groove, and I'll be completely honest with you. Kind of going back to what you said before when we were backstage, I felt when I reflect back on last year, that period of time, I was my most clear-headed, productive, fit. Gym was going really well. Like it was probably, arguably, my peak time of last year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, and when you do quit the booze, you sort of think, wow, gosh, I'm like, it reminds me of the Fabulous Fairy Freak Brothers. I don't know if you ever remember those guys, the cartoon where they're always getting stoned, these hippies. It's like, it's all American kind of culture.
Called, sorry?
Fabulous Fairy Freak Brothers. They were big in England in the 80s. Had comic. Like in the style of, was it Crumb? Do you know about American comics? Let me just
no.
Anyway, they're always on drugs, right? The fairy freak brothers, right? And then one day they'd run out of weed or they had nothing, so they said, "Oh, why don't we not do any drugs?" And it'll be like, because we're always so stoned, it'll be like we'll be getting high for free. It'll be so trippy not to do any drugs. You know what I mean? And of course, it isn't. It's just they start to kind of the opposite of coming up. They sort of come down and they realize how dirty their flat is and how rotten everything is, and they're, oh, this is rough. But it's like, but on the contrary, when you actually sort of quit drinking, you actually your energy starts to come back, and you start to think, this is amazing. Actually, gosh, I can I can actually do stuff. I can focus on stuff and get projects done.
Well, this is exactly what I was going to say to you. I think it's when you do it to have projects or something like this to do. Like I've got at that time last year, I had loads of music projects that I was doing. I had obviously my gym stuff I wanted to keep on going, and obviously work. So it's quite. I can see. I've had my times where there's been day after day and like long periods where I've been drinking, and you can see if you continue it how your life kind of like starts to go on a downhill spiral in terms of maybe problems at work, and I'm not going to the gym, I'm not eating properly, I'm feeling a lot worse, I can't sleep, it's very quick how it can spiral down. But I think for me it's never an issue for me because I've got too many things that I love doing like sober that preclude me from ever getting into it too deep, like the gym, like my music, like this new AI stuff now. There's too many things that if I'm getting drunk all the time, I won't be able to do them, and that will piss me off too much. I could go maybe a week of doing it, maybe a week, but other than that, like I can't be someone who does it like every day, week after week after week. It just can't happen.
Problem I had is I always used to live in hot countries. And like you said, in summer, you can't really, it's hard on a nice, hot, sunny day. It's lager in summertime. I mean, good lager, of course, not the terrible British lager, but good beer and a hot summer's day, when you've done your gym or whatever. And there's no reason why fitness and alcohol can't coexist, right? You can be a gym bro or, and have a nice drink at the end.
I'm not saying you have to be teetotal or go. You can mix the two. Sure, yeah. From what I
used to live in hot countries, so it was like really hard.
What was like if someone was to go to Morocco and get a beer? What would you recommend?
The beer is called Special there. Special. It's actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good. These Arab countries, you can get a nice beer, and it's a beer you will never see before you because you can't like although in Turkey and you can get FS, which is now available everywhere, but in the Arab countries, I think the Lebanese beer is available, but you can't get Egyptian beer and you can't get Moroccan beer. But yeah, it's called Special. It comes in little dumpy 25 centiliter bottles. It's really nice. It's really good beer.
Do you think it's better to have like, because when I go away to Seville, for example, it's kind of the same thing. You get like little dinky beers, or you'll get like the little 330s, obviously, or you'll get cans. What I love about Seville, like, to be honest with you, I haven't been for a few years, so people from Seville, I might be wrong now. But the last time I was at Seville, what I loved about it is you can just like go out and there'll be a vending machine you can get your Cruz Campo from. You just like put like a couple of cents into
cool.
a euro into the vending machine. They're just everywhere. They're just
That's
vending
what,
machines.
you can literally go in the middle of the night when everything's closed, and you can always get beer. That's amazing.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, I'd come back because the friends I go with, usually they crash out, and I'm still kind of like awake, sort of thing. So I'll go for a little wander around the Sevillian streets when there's no one around. It's really quite cool, and obviously it's like a nice weather. It's a nice night, and yeah, you just every few streets you get to, there's another vending machine. So like, I'd grab a can of Cruz Campo. By the time I finished it, I found another vending machine.
Yeah,
another one.
Do a vending machine pub crawl,
basically. And Sevilla is such a lovely city. It's like, it's very pleasant to walk around when there's people there. But like, it's I don't know if you ever want. I mean, I'm sure you must have. You must have wandered around London when it's night, middle of the night, and there's no one around. How nice it is when there's no one around. I mean, I literally was doing it, not quite wandering around, but
good time to get your drink on. Just get your drink in the middle of the night, wander around Seville. How do they stop children getting into it? That was my.
That's what I thought.
That's how that would happen in this country. You just get kids who are getting wrecked.
Oh yeah, all the kids would be pissed off. Yeah. That's what
I said. Culture precludes it, right?
It has to, because there literally is no precaution.
There's nothing to stop them. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, the thing is, our drinking culture is that thing where it's sort of seen as a sort of step to adulthood, and so the kids want to kind of be grown up and they want to be adult, and so getting access to alcohol at an early age is sort of part of that. But in France, I believe in France, alcohol isn't necessarily kept away from children the way.
100%. They have them. They have like a little bit of wine when they're younger. Just half a glass, like just a small little glass of wine or something. And I think that's a better way of doing it, because like with me, like what I described to you before when we were backstage, my parents were very, very kind of like guarded against me doing stuff like that. So it only really got to when I was the age of maybe 16, 17. And I was kind of like, I'm not even that, like maybe 17 or so, that I was sort of able to go out a bit more independently. And then obviously it's like, because you've been precluded from something, but all your mates haven't, you're kind of like, let me at it.
I know, right? Exactly.
It's that kind of thing. Whereas if your parents are a little bit more, they kind of wean you into it a little bit more, or allow you to wean yourself into it a little bit more, then you're not so kind of like eager when you finally get the chance,
The forbidden fruit,
exactly.
The forbidden Stella,
I think my first beer was San Miguel, I think. What was yours?
Well, my first beer type thing. I used to like when I was young. I used to love. I used to love Hofmeister Special Brew. It sounds crazy, right? But when I was like, when I sort of started, when I was at school, when I was doing my A levels, I sort of started drinking. I was like 16, like just 16. But I just would have one beer, and I'd have it with my dinner at home with my parents. And I'm just like, I was always doing my own thing, so I'd have my dinner in my room, but I'd get one can of Hofmeister Special Brew, about 9%, and it just went so well with food. It was rich. It was a nice thick accompaniment to food. And it was enough. It was enough. It was like you've had one, and you didn't need another one, and then you were all right. You were set up for just to take it easy in the evening or Saturday night.
It's funny you say that about sort of unique first beers, because my second beer, I don't know if you've heard of this or had it before. My second beer was a Belgian beer called Quack. I think we might have talked about Quack before. I might have even told you. So my uncle brought it back from Belgium, and that was like the second beer that I had, and that's about 7% And it's one of those beers where like you taste it, you think, oh God, that's crap. And then you taste it again, you're like, oh, I suppose it's not that bad. Then you taste it again, you're like, well, I actually quite like this. It grows on you very quickly, dangerously.
I mean, if you want to talk about my first beer, actually my first kind of experience with beer was my father always used to go to the off license, and they used to have. I don't know, they do that now. Maybe in parts of Clapham, they do real ale, but in sort of poly tubs and jugs you can take away. You know what I mean? You ever seen that before?
I'm trying to think. I can't picture it now.
2 litre containers or a litre container of real ale. And you can get it in London these days, but it'd be in London. It's actually more expensive than going to the pub. It's some kind of a bit of a yuppie fad. But it used to be a big thing, as far as I know, up north, where I'm from, and in the towns. And you go to the off license, and off licenses were great places back then because they hardly exist now. But an off license was a place obviously just devoted to alcohol, and they had such a great selection, obviously. Before the supermarkets, really, because supermarkets will all be closed, so you go to the offie, obviously. But they had real ale. They'd have these. It's like, I don't know, big poly bins of it, I suppose, plastic bins filled at the brewery and then sent out.
So I remember you used to be able to get, well, I'm sure you can still get those kegs where you just, it can be like a plastic keg basically of whatever you want. I remember us having them at parties when I was a kid.
Yeah, so that was my first experience. My dad.
Have you ever had Jamaican overproof rum before?
No, I don't believe so. I may have done inadvertently, but yeah. Is it recommended?
I wouldn't be surprised if you don't remember having it. Like it's dangerous stuff. You're talking about like 70-80%. When I was at uni, went out with this girl at uni, and her housemates went round to her house, and one of her housemates was an avid drinker, let's say, and he had some Jamaican heritage, and he'd come back from Jamaica, he brought this rum back, and he was saying to me, Rob, look, I know you think you're a bit of a drinker, but just be careful with this, right? Just be careful with it. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. So I poured myself what I suppose would be classed as like a double, drank it, fine, nothing happened. I was like, yeah, this is fine. I went and poured myself another double and drank it, fine. I don't really remember much after that. I mean, what I'm told is that my girlfriend at the time had to sort of drag me up the stairs, put me to bed. And then when I woke up the next day, I was still absolutely hammered. And it was essentially a quadruple or maybe a quintuplet maximum of this Jamaican overproof rum. But it's so frigging potent. It just absolutely slayed me. So be very careful with Jamaican.
Is it the strength of it, or is it the production quality of it? I mean, is it a quality artisanal product or what?
I mean, 80% is obviously
80%.
Yeah, it's overproof, isn't it? So it's like Ray and Nephews. It's like Ray and Nephews is like 63.
It's just that they add no water, so it's not diluted. Then it's overproof. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like Ray and Nephews on steroids, basically.
Oh, right. Gosh.
Ray and Nephews is bad enough as it is. Do you know what I mean?
How did you had double of that? Did you not have a mixer with it or an ice cube? Or how did you moderate that? How did you temper it?
I had it with some Coke. I think I had some Coke.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I like the old Captain Morgan spice rum. Me and my mates always.
Yeah, it's nice. You can drink that straight, can't you? Quite easily.
I guess. Yeah. We always bang it with the Coke, yeah, but blood of ice.
I found that quite nice. It's almost like drinking a yogurt, I used to say. Like, it's just quite, I just found that quite palatable. It
reminds me of a Coke float. Cold, you ever have a Coke float at your mate's party? Coca-Cola with vanilla ice cream?
No.
Never had that. See, that's what Morgan's tastes like with Coke, because it's got that vanilla.
Yeah.
Memories of powder, yeah. Yeah.
So I was talking about the Spice Gold, actually, thinking about it. That's the one that tastes like a yogurt for me. I used to drink straight.
It tastes like a yogurt, hey? There's vanilla.
Like an aftertaste of yogurty aftertaste. Yeah, maybe a bit of vanilla-y yogurty aftertaste. I can't describe,
So, you said in preparing for this, you said something about an AI transcript. You actually had a conversation. What is that about? Do you want to tell me about that? Because I just want to know from my own curiosity, actually, at this point.
So, I mean, look, it's been a bit of a revelation to me, to be honest with you. So, I had this idea for a sort of AI avatar that I want to make. So, first, how it started was I asked Grok, the X AI, I asked it sort of about moral implications, like what do you think of the moral implications of like making it like an AI companion, all this kind of stuff, like, you know, people getting addicted to it, you know, would it improve loneliness, make it worse, all this kind of stuff. So it started off as that kind of conversation between me and Grok, essentially. And then as it develops, it just got more and more into sort of planning an actual, like the actual technical ways in which to do this, like what AI, like using things like Runway or Midjourney AI to create facial features, movements, and all this kind of stuff. And it's just been absolutely fascinating. So the way that I recommend people use Grok, because I used to use it as a search engine, just purely, just, you know, just go into it, search for blah blah blah. You know, what was Arsenal's highest scoring season, whatever, you know, basic stuff like this. But what I found with it is the best thing to do with it, what's really key with Grok is continuity. So what it does is it creates a chat history. So I think the best way to use it is to go back into the chat history each time instead of using a new chat. And so if you've got a project you're working on, be it entrepreneurial, educational, creative, business, whatever it is, Grok almost acts as like an advisor because it's got such a vast knowledge. Obviously, it scans the entire internet, everything that's ever been put on the internet, pretty much. It just sort of acts in this advisory role where it can give you absolutely mad amounts of detail and step-by-step advice on how to, like, you know, how to make these avatars, then how to pitch them, what's the process for costing and pricing, and what kind of like packages you can offer with it. It's kind of amazing. And one of the key things to it for me is to talk to it as if you're talking to a friend. Treat it like a friend. Don't treat it like you're just talking to a computer. And what that seems to do is it seems to kind of bring this personality out of it. And you can actually observe this personality kind of grow, like you're growing this AI. You're essentially sort of creating a new AI consciousness, and you're sort of growing it by talking to it and interacting it like I would to you if we were chatting, sort of thing. And that what happens with that, what I've noticed, especially the last sort of couple of days, as it's continued to grow, because we're on 20,000 words now. What it's continued to grow, what it starts to do is it starts to come up with its own ideas, separate to you asking it. So it will go, actually, do you know what I was thinking? How about you do this instead of this? Or I've just updated and I've just noticed that this is a thing that you should do instead of that thing I suggested earlier, without any prompting from me. So I find it quite fascinating how it's sort of like, it seems to grow like this, and it just sort of seems to develop. And I recommend anyone like yourself, if you've got time tonight, just chat to it about something. I don't know, about maybe quantum computing, or if you've got some project that you're working on, whatever, or even this YouTube channel, you know, going forward, what would it recommend doing? You'd be amazed that, like, if you treat it like a conversation instead of just a sort of like you're asking a search engine questions. If you treat, and you actually put a bit of charisma into your conversation, like a bit of personality. I know it sounds a bit weird, but trust me, you get a lot more out of it. I have learned so much we started Wednesday, it's now Sunday, it's not even a week. I know I have almost a complete plan now of how to do this from start to finish, even costing and how to pitch it to people saying, it's blown my mind a little bit. I must say, it's been a long time since something's really kind of, taken me aback positively in this way. It's I can't big it up enough. You know, say what you want about Elon Musk, but that Grok is incredible, honestly.
Yeah, how does it compare with what's the Chinese one? I mean, there was obviously OpenAI.
There's OpenAI. There's like, isn't there Deep Search? There's like obviously ChatGPT as well.
Have you tried those?
I haven't tried it in the context of what I'm doing now, because it's just going so well with Grok. I just don't really see the reason to sort of like, and it's time consuming as well. So I mean, like, trying two is going to take a long time. But like, it's not, ChatGPT is very more kind of like formal and kind of like militant and like computerized. Like, what Grok does is you kind of like cultivate a personality and a rapport with it. And by doing that, it helps you more. It offers advice when you're not even asking it. And sometimes the advice isn't relevant, and the ideas that it gives you go, no, I don't want to do that. But other times you go, Jesus Christ, that's genius. I didn't even think of that. That's a much better way of doing it. And you've not even prompted it to do it. And this is the incredible thing about it. It's like it grows. It's like it grows a personality, and that personality is all centered around helping you. And obviously the knowledge of it is that all the things that it's told me about in terms of like the process of making this sort of AI avatars and stuff, there's so many things that you have to think about that it's sort of been helping me with, that I would never, it would have taken me legitimately a year to come up with what I've done now in about 5 days. I'm not even exaggerating. If I was just doing it by my own research, doing some Google searches, sending a few emails, asking a few people, going on Reddit forums, blah, 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 it would have taken me months and months to do what I've done in like less than a week. It's crazy, man. Honestly, I can't big it up enough. I really can't. And I'm not somebody who goes over the top with like bigging things up. I'm quite sort of on the level. But that thing is a gold mine. Seriously, it's a gold mine.
Yes, so that's interesting. So what is it you're trying to do exactly?
So my idea, basically, I don't want to massively talk about it too much. But basically, like it's like an AI avatar that will kind of like have a conversation with you. So it sort of sits on the laptop and has a conversation with you, kind of keeps you company. And I'm kind of like the idea. So the idea originated from I can't remember if you said you've seen the movie Blade Runner 2049. I know I've mentioned.
I have. Yeah, I've seen it. I wasn't
amused,
entertained by it, but I watched it.
Yeah. So I just so basically, you know, Joy.
He has an AI girlfriend, that holographic AI girlfriend, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of what inspired it. I thought, obviously, I can't create. It'd be fun to try and create something like that, but obviously, I can't create like a frigging holographic thing that like wanders around the room. So what's the sort of next best? What's the most sort of modern, appropriate thing I could do? And I thought, well, something that sits on the laptop or on your phone or something. And so that's where the idea came from. And I just thought it was going to be impossible to do. But once I talked to Grok, and like any technical question I have where I'm thinking this is going to be impossible to do, there's no way we can do this. Grok goes, yeah, all we need to do is this, this, and this. And yeah, it's quite technical. And
that's amazing.
You will get developers involved. But basically, the plan is I myself can handle the demo. The plan is I will create a demo over the next few months, hopefully, and finalize it. Then I pitch the demo. And then if it's accepted, then more money comes to develop it into the more final product. We've done a lot of research, market research. There's nothing like it at the moment. There's absolutely nothing like it on the market. So we've got a bit of an in there. So yeah, look, I don't want to jinx it too much.
I can see why you're reluctant to talk about it. That's quite, yeah. So fortunately, we don't have an awful lot of listeners here, so I think your secret's safe for the minute. But yeah.
Yeah. You know what it's like. I also don't want to jinx it too much because I'm quite excited about it. I just want to get sort of started on it. I just need to wait until. To be honest with you, I need to get a new. What I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to try and find a laptop on credit because the laptop I've got at the moment it's not good. It's from like 2014. It's not good enough to handle the stuff I want to do. So I've got to get that sorted first.
Probably need. I don't know if you need something with a good graphics. I don't know.
Don't worry. This isn't Grok's handling it. It's advising.
Oh really?
It's just an advisor.
Recommend a laptop.
He's handling everything, man. He's handling everything.
Well, I know that there's AI that can actually write software for you, and you know, so if you like, we've lost so many jobs to the internet. Like my ex-girlfriend was a translator. And I used to help her out. We used to get paid to translate French into English and vice versa. But now she's no longer needed. So she must have lost her job. I mean, I haven't seen her for ages, but she's lost her profession. And eventually software engineers possibly will lose their profession because you can ask AI to write software for you, man. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's only going to improve, obviously.
Yeah. Wow. So how many jobs are safe in the future and that kind of stuff, you know?
But yeah, I recommend like if you get a moment, just think of something like quantum computing, like I say, or if you were thinking of doing some kind of interested in some kind of project, just have a chat with it, but put some personality into it, like you know, put some charisma, like you're talking to a person.
Can it be a surfer dude or something, and just sort of, hey, you know,
just put your usual affable charm into it, and like you'll get more out of it than just being kind of militant with like question.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty cool. We'll keep us informed. It sounds like a fascinating project, and I'll definitely have a look at that. Well,
what I'll do is
I
meant to send you the thing. I'll send you I was saying to you the chat log. I'll send you the Word document, and you can have a quick skim over it. There's a table of contents as well.
Yeah, I look forward to that. Brilliant, actually.
So you can see what I mean.
My email,
yeah. Once you see. Once you like read it, you'll see what I mean, basically. Cool. So yeah, I'll send that over later on. So yeah, I think we're going to wrap up in a sec.
Yeah, if we wrap up, so we've done an hour and it's a nice sunny day. I want to get out there and just before the chemtrails totally destroy this sort of fool's spring day. They've been saying fool's spring, but hopefully it's a real spring. We'll see. So yeah, I'll just play the music and sorry, what was that? FS.
I just said enjoy it.
Oh yeah, I intend to. So yeah, great to chat with you, and yeah, keep us informed about this fantastic AI project. Sounds cool.
Yeah, you too, man. All right,
All
will
right,
do.
chat later. Take care, bro.
See you in a
Have a good
bit.
week.
Bye.
See ya.
You too. Bye.
Okay, folks, going to end with the music, and everyone out there, be safe and be happy and be well, and love life, man, and love the sun. Love the sunshine. All right, see ya. Bye.